Record. Perfect. Okay. I think you already got the projects that I sent it to you last time. We're gonna be working on this because it's similar like the game maps. As you can see here, I opened the demo palace and I just create a new level and I took the same assets. I just create a new level to just work it as a separate. Okay. Before I remove any light here, normally when you get any task in the games, they always give you three things. The first thing, it's the navigation, which is could be add some information into the levels. For example, I can add text here, and I said here start point, and you have to go this way. I can tell you this way it's blocked, so you don't want to add lighting here. This way, for example, it's a main area. That's mean you have to focus on this area more or add some light variation here. It could be, for example, in our engine, we have something called navigation, which is when I enable this navigation, I can really see when the player gonna move in the game. Because in open world, you can go anywhere, everywhere, but actually the player has to go some specific places to follow the story, to meet some people, to finish some mission, and that's same thing you have to follow. The player follow the lighting. Is not the follow the story. It's follow more the lighting. Why this? Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Why the player follow the lighting? Because as I said before, the lighting it's always bring the attention. So when you saw any big light and from far away, that could be there is a life there, there is something happened there, or if you see some flickering, that's mean maybe it's a magic box. You have to open it and find some stuff inside this box. So with the lighting, you always keep the player move in the right position. Okay. If we press play here, you see here we have this is the starter point. So that's mean the player should start the game from this area. Okay. From here, we have to start to add our lighting and start to see where I have to add the lighting. But before to do anything, you have to analyze your scene. So I'm gonna check from the top and okay, I'm gonna say the player has to go this way. Okay. What about this place? It doesn't matter for me. So it's not important because it's blocked in the end. Oh, where is oh sorry. Oh, I'm missing. So okay, we can play like this. It's better. Okay, so if we go here, this place, there is nothing to do here, so I could remove this light, but I need to bring more attention here in this gate to just lead the player to go to the, for example, it's a main garden. Okay, in this area, I have to decide where I have to put the light and why I have to put this light. Okay, and this is the hardest part. So to do this, let's start. I'm gonna remove all the lights in the scene. Okay, even the direction light. Okay, and also we're gonna remove the fog and post-processing. So as you can see now, we have no light in the scene. Yes, Nimi. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, when you decide where to put the light in and everything,
Huh.
normally you will also have like concept to support that, right? Like you would work with the concept art or something, or is it just like you just go in and you see the path or the map and you decide?
Normally, there is no concept has to follow for this area. For on my side, I never get any concept to follow the place that I have to put the light,
Mm,
because the concept is always the global visual. So
right.
for the color and the
Specific,
movement, yes,
yeah,
exactly.
got you.
But
Thank you.
to add the lighting, always I have to follow the navigation. In Unreal Engine, they doesn't have this navigation system, but in my previous games that I work in Unreal Engine, they put some marks like text or any marks that tell you you have to start from here to there, from point A to point B. Here is gonna have cinematic, for example. So in this cinematic, you have to keep the lighting, don't move the lighting. So there is a lot of information that tech art has to add it, and the environment artist also. But yeah, normally that's the way you have to follow. Always to follow the navigation. Okay. All right. So as you can see here, the limit system, it's still on. So in this session, we're gonna turn off the limit system because we're gonna use the baked. Okay. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna add the post processing. And from post processing, I will keep it infinity for now. And we'll start to search for limit system. And from limit, I'm gonna say turn it off. Okay, so now I have no limit system. Okay. The exposure also, we'll go to the exposure and we'll move it to manual. If you remember when we talk about the exposure, and I tell you you have to match the exposure here like the game engine. So if we press 0, you see you have to find the exposure value. So now the exposure value looks like this. Let's say I'm gonna put it as 10. So if I turn this off again, you see it's the same value. So that's why I told you the value, the default value between 8 to 10. So now we have the same default value for the exposure. We'll keep it like this. And we have some lighting assets here, which is fine. We will keep it right now. Okay. The first thing we have to add it's skylight, which is to add the global ambience. So I'm gonna add skylight for now, and let's move this to specific cube map. And from here, I will get the night one. Okay, so it's a bit bright for me. I think now it looks okay. And let's see if we remove this. Okay. Because I picked before, I'm gonna do picked, light picked. And then we're gonna start to add our lighting. For sure, in big scene, it should take some time, more time for sure. But some software, some engine has a specific GI, which is you can just pick in specific area. I don't know. I think Unreal Engine in the new version has this feature, but I never use it. But usually in the maps, if you are working in open world, there is a maps and you can select some cells and you say this cells I need to pick. Don't need to pick everything in the game. So as you can see here, now we have no light. So let's go to the sky. And if we are now we're gonna work on the as night light. So maybe 1.5. The global ambience should look so okay for me right now. And now we're gonna add the direction light. So I will try to keep the intensity as lower as I can. And let's try to match the moon light. Okay. It's important to put the direction, because in the direction we're gonna add some fake lighting in the scene. Okay, so I can just keep the direction like this, and let's bring it down. And from here in the soft radius, now we can, if we change the soft radius for 20 or 50, you see we can get some soft shadow. So 1, it's hard shadow. 20, I don't know if you can see this or not, but now we have some nice soft shadow, because as you know, in the night time, the shadow has to be more softer. Okay, so the global ambience now for me it looks okay. We set up the global ambience. We're gonna start to add the lighting. You should have already your blueprint lighting that we worked before, but today I will not add any blueprint. I will just add and replace some light from the engine. Okay. To give you a clear vision for what we took last time, let's say I have this point light, and I need to pick this light and match the light like in real world. Okay, so this light is stationary. I need to move it to static to get the baked light. Okay, it doesn't matter for the baked, for the radius. The radius you can change the radius, and you can make it bigger as much as you can. It doesn't matter. That's okay, because in the baked, the performance it's fine. It's just picked on in the maps, in the light maps. So I will move this, change the temperature for something more yellow. 4,000, that's fine. I don't need it to be more yellow, but that's okay for me. And I will turn off the shadow for now. Okay, so now I have the baked. I will just make sure that the indirect light, okay, 1, that's fine. Let's try to pick on 1. And here, let's put this intensity 10 and take another one here. So now you have to ask yourself, is this radius it's enough to pick the light? So we have to do the test first. I'm gonna go to the build, and from here, just you can put a medium for now. And from here, build lighting only. We'll see what we're gonna get.
One question. Can I
Yeah.
ask something while we wait?
Yeah.
So the lights that you add here are in L1 or L2? This is L1, right? Because these are like, do you know what I mean?
No, this is not L1. L1, you have to add your light props.
Okay, but
Okay,
aren't the ones
that you made it before. But we already talked this last session,
Yes.
so I will not create the light props anymore. But now the
Okay.
light props, we could say it's already exists in the scene, and now we are looking for to create to check the GI.
GI, yeah.
Okay.
So L2.
Yes, exactly. This is L2. Even in L1, you can bake. You can test your baking, because you will get a lot of issue during the baking in the beginning. Okay, so it looks okay now for me. If we hide this, you see, now we have the light picked without any issue. But if we go back to the post-processing, there is something very important we have to enable. It's called ambient occlusion. In the baked side, we have to care about 2 things: the indirect light illumination and ambient occlusion from post-processing. So if you search for ambient occlusion, you will find ambient occlusion here. So if we do change, you see the different. We can get some nice ambient occlusion, but be careful, don't add too much ambient occlusion. To make sure that you have the correct ambient occlusion, you can go to the lit, and from where? Yes, here. Buffer visualization, ambient. Anyone can see ambient occlusion?
Down, it's down.
Oh.
I saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
down.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
down, 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 down.
Down,
Yeah,
down.
down.
Uh-huh.
World
Oh, yeah, here.
tangent.
Okay, so
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
buffer visualization, we'll find ambient occlusion. Now we can really see the ambient occlusion only. Okay, so from here, I can start to say, okay, the ambient occlusion now it's too much. So if you keep the ambient occlusion like this, that's mean you're gonna miss a lot of details for the textures. So don't make the ambient occlusion has too much distance. So just small distance to add more shadow on the edges. Okay. So you see now we have very nice ambient occlusion. We have it's something like the highlighter, okay, in the painting. So let's go back to the lit. And now our ambient occlusion, it works very well. So now if we go and find indirect light, let's find indirect light illumination. Here, the global illumination, if we turn this on, from here, we can control for the indirect light. What we did now, it's baked. The baked, it's mean indirect light in global illumination, which is gonna, if you remember, we said when we baked, we have some bounced. So the light, when it hit any surface, it should be bounced. And from world setting, we add how many pounds light to add the baked. So from here, if we do change the value, we can get more indirect light. So one, it's default value, but from here, we can get more indirect light. Okay, so that's mean from here, you can refine the baked light. So if you baked and you feel the baked is not enough, or it's dark, or the area is not baked enough or not bounced enough, from here you can add more indirect light. Okay, also you can change your indirect light. You see it's just effect on the pict. So because this works with the light mass, if we go back to world setting, light mass, and search for light mass, it just changed this textures. Okay, so that's mean in post-processing, if you do change anything here, it's gonna affect on your light maps resolution or light maps textures. Okay, but we'll keep
Can I
this
ask
for
something about the ambient occlusion?
yes.
Yes, actually, most of the time when I use Unreal Engine, I use Lumen.
Yes.
So when I use Lumen, I find that ambient occlusion, when I try to increase it or decrease it, it doesn't work. It only
Yeah,
works in the
doesn't work because it works automatically. You don't need to add any ambient occlusion to your Lumen system.
okay, that's okay.
So
Thank you.
yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any choice to control for the ambient occlusion in the Lumen system
Let me see.
because it's dynamic global illumination.
Global
yeah.
Illumination.
But in baked, for sure, you have control for the ambient occlusion. Okay. So there is something is very technical here. You have to know it's from environment art side, but as you are lighting, you have to know about this. So what is it? Let's go to the light mass, density. If we go to the light mass density here, you can see there is some checker box, and it could be blue, it could be green, it could be red. What does it mean? That's mean the resolution for this assets. If we select any assets here, let's select this wall and search for resolution. No, it is not resolution. Oh my god, I forget the name. Yeah, from Lightmass, I think. In collision. Yeah, from lighting, you see here light map resolution. So from here, if we change this value, we will get more resolution, which is gonna affect on your picked. Sometimes when you picked, you will get some artifact shadow or any bad shadow in the on your assets. That's because this light resolution is not enough. So if we change to this to 300, you see the color it changed. That's mean more green, which is gonna add more resolution, but be careful because when you add more resolution, you will get the big time, it's gonna be more longer. Okay, so that's not your side. It should be the art side has to put the correct resolution. But if you are working in a personal project and you picked and you get some artifact shadow in your assets, you can check the resolution here. Okay, so just go to the light mass resolution and it changed the resolution. So we'll keep this now for now. It's okay. Blue is not that bad and we didn't get any bad resolution. Okay, so now the light, if we test the light, oh by the way, there is okay, where the light here, if you need to start from here, okay, if you need to start from here, you can right click and press go here. Oh no, not here. Pilot, pilot, no, there is something here. Oh, play from here, sorry, because the 5 is different. So we can say play from here and boom, I can start my point from here. In any engine, we have the same option. You can right click in any place that you want the player start from this point and you say start from here. So now if we go here, you see the light is baked, but there is no shadow. Okay, the shadow it's gonna be in L3. If you remember, we said we're gonna add some additional light in L3. So this light is baked, but it doesn't has any dynamic light which is can add shadow. So we'll add another point light, but you remember we said we're gonna have some small radius. And let's go back here. I imported already this cookies that we made it last time. I just want to see the effect here. This one, the dynamic and the GI. I just need to change the value. Let's add 4 and let's do pick again. Because I just need to see the shadow, the fake shadow from the dynamic. So in point light, we'll create the point light with a small radius and keep it dynamic. It's okay, or stationary. It's up to you to just get some. We can add some flickering. We could keep it like has only fake shadow, or we can keep it static if you don't want to add any dynamic in this light. In the next session, maybe tomorrow, I will show you how to add some flickering from Blueprint. It's not that hard, it's very simple. Oh, okay. It's picked the dynamic light too. So if we select this one and just add here, it could be fine. But it's okay. We will not care about this now. But as you remember, we said we're gonna add the GI light, the dynamic light, and then we could, in the end, add some spotlight to fake the shadow if the player really need the shadow. But it's okay if we have sunlight or moonlight. For me, it's enough. It doesn't matter to add any shadow near to the lantern. And also, that's gonna discuss with your tech. So depend on the game performance. If this game has low performance, so the tech art or the art directors are gonna tell you, we couldn't add any shadow. We'll keep the just baked light, and with the dynamic light comes from the sun or the moon. That's enough. Or he could say, no, we need add some shadow around the lantern or any light props. So this is something discussed with the art director, and this you're gonna add it in L3. Okay, so I think that's fine for me now. You see, now we have nice lights as dynamic. Okay, and make sure you turn off the shadow. Now we can add more radius. So do you remember when we talk about the lighting overlapping? Now we have 4 lights, but actually there is no overlapping. Why? Because we have 2 of them is static. To make sure from this, you can go to the optimization and open Lightmaps complex. You see, we just it just gives us there is only 2 light in the place, because the picked light is not counting. If we turn this off, you see, there is nothing different. That's why I tell you, you can add as much as you can for the lights as a static, and you can overlap them. You can add 10 of them in the same area. It's okay if the light is static. Static, that's fine. But it's dynamic. Now we're gonna have, oh, here it's a big problem. So I couldn't do this. So just try to keep it green. Green, it's perfect. Okay. Orange, it's okay. But red, no. We are in red zone, which is gonna be danger for the performance. Okay. Especially if you are working in the world maps. So this is basically how to pick the lights. But let's try to get something I showed you last time. Where exactly I need to go? Okay, I need to go this way. Okay. So I'm gonna add 2 light props here, okay, with a small radius, and then we're gonna pick, and I will show you how to add more light picked to make blending between the dynamic and the GI. Do you remember the blending modes that I took last time? If you don't remember, I will show you this. Let's find the light props here. And let's say we have something like this. Okay. And we'll keep it here. I will add 1 point light, turn off the shadow. And let's add this here. Okay, so now I will try to keep the dynamic light as just a small radius. Okay, and we change to 4,000 or maybe 2,000. Oh, no, the temperature 3,000. Okay, and keep this as a dynamic. Okay, so now we have this dynamic lights, and we'll take another one here. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a big problem. The light is not cast that the correct light that we are looking for. It's need to cast more light and has more fading between this radius and on the top and with the assets too. So in this case, what we're gonna do, we will add 1 point light here and turn off the shadow with the same temperature. Okay, and from here you have to find the radius and say, okay, is that radius, it's gonna be enough for me to pick the light? If it's enough, I will say, okay, 8, that's fine. Or we could go to 4 and add indirect light in 2. Okay, and we're gonna put the light static. Okay, so let's take another one here. And we'll pick. So this pick, it's gonna blend between the dynamic light and the baked light. And in the end, you will get very natural lights, like in real life. So there is something, it's more technical. You have to learn. You have to try to find some lighting assets and try to see the radius. For example, if you have a candles at home, try to put this candle in the dark room or in the or any lights, and start to see how far this candle gonna cast the light and the radius for this light. It's something, it's okay, you have to learn, but you can find some reference from Google, or you can even do by yourself. Turn on any light and start to see the radius for this light, if it's light ceiling light or the lamp table light. Try to just see the amount of the radius that this light gonna cast. Okay, to just have a clear vision when you add the bake, to make sure that you will not go too much or make it too small. So boom, now we have blending between the dynamic lights and the GI light. If we remove this or just hide it, you see, you will still feel that we have the dynamic light only works. You will never expect that we have GI light, right? So if we start from here, you see, the character, it's interact with the light, which has a nice reflection, but there is no shadow, which is okay. Most of the game has no shadow. Okay, but now we have very nice picked. The radius, it's enough for me. We have nice soft blending between the dynamic and the static light. And that's how we can add the light picked in the scene. Okay.
Karim,
Yes.
can you show us an example of how it would look like with the shadow or with the spotlight that you mentioned previously?
Yeah,
If, for
sure.
example, you decide that there needs to be shadow, how will that look like? I want to see. Is that a problem?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in this case, don't add two lights. So if you have 2 light props or 3 light props in the small area, we could add only 1 spotlight with 1 shadow. That's okay to just save in the performance, and we just need the shadow. Okay, so we can add this light from here and move the direction. Make sure you change to the same temperature. Okay, so it's better to add blocks to just make sure that we have the shadow. Yeah, you see, just yeah, it's just soft shadow, which is will not affect too much.
And the spotlight should be static, right? Because we only need the shadow.
No, not static. No, static will not cast any shadow. There is
Not
no
the static,
shadow.
only
will keep
light.
casting.
Yeah, that was the difference.
Just
Yes,
dynamic.
yes.
Keep it dynamic.
Dynamic,
One dynamic
okay.
light, that's fine in this area. And also from here, you can make the shadow more softness from soft radius. Or I think here, yes, from source radius, we could add more value, which is gonna have more, sorry, here. You see here, we have more soft shadow. So this amount, it's good for me. And let's play again and check this out. You see now we have nice shadow.
Yes.
It's soft.
Yes.
So that's it. That's it.
Okay.
But if the light's too far, so if, for example, if you have the light props here and the second one here, in this case, you can add two spotlight, which is this gonna be in L3. Okay, you have to ask first your art director or the one who the tech art, could we add shadow or not? In this case, he can say yes. Okay, so now we add the fake light fake light on the light props. But what we have to do if we need to add more fake light on the global ambience. So for example, we have the moonlight, which it should cast light, right, in the interior place, or even you need to add more fake light to fake the moonlight. I did the same thing in the AC Mirage. Let's try to find the video, and I will show you the idea here. Because in games you have to think about the both ways in the light props and the global ambience too. So you can't work on only the light props. No, you have to add some fake light for the global ambience and add some fake light, especially in the interior scene, to bring more sunlight, for example, sunlight GI or moonlight GI, or light comes from the window. But I just need to find the video that already shared. Which I can find. Yes, okay, that's good. So, oh yeah, exactly this area. You see here, this one of my scenes, I add some fake light to match the moonlight and bring more light attention from the top, because in this area we have only light props comes from the lantern, from the candles, from the flames. So it was too much yellow in the place. To break this color, we have to bring more light from the global ambience. So, which is you can add more light from the top. To do this, we're gonna use the light cookie and the light baked. Okay, so let's select the dark area, like here. Here it's too dark, which is you can't keep it like this. Okay, we need to add more light. So to do that, we'll add spotlight. Okay, and from here, you see, I just create a quick texture in Photoshop. Just have some something like the window. I just try to fix the window. Okay, and I already put in the textures and the light cookie. And I just want to make sure that I have the correct one. Okay, that's good. Oh. So from the light cookie, I'm gonna change the scale to get more lights. Let's add here to the top. Okay, so this light, I can keep the shadow because I just have only one, or you can disable. But if you disable, make sure that you don't have any Z fighting. That's called Z fighting shadow, which is something very bad. You can't keep it like this. So if we turn off the shadow, in our engine, we have something is called BV, which is I can move the light distance and has some controls for the distance, which is I can block this this area from the light. But in Unreal Engine, you can just change the cone radius. Just try to change the cone radius or move the direction to just make sure that you don't have any shadow overlapping or any Z fighting. Okay, so I will keep this for now, and let's add here. Okay, and from here I will change the light to get some moonlight. Okay, so now I add this light, which looks okay for me, but this light should has some bounced. That's why we took the basics in the first session. The bounced is very important to have to know. This light should bounce some light, which mean we need to add more GI lighting. Okay, so in this case, we're gonna add point light. Okay, with a good scale, with a good radius here. Okay, and let's put here in the middle, and we'll take the same color. Try to put the same color. Don't worry about this. We're gonna fix it. I'm gonna copy this and add it here. This light, it's okay. So let's try to add the indirect light intensity in 2, and we'll put this in static mode or GI mode. We can call this GI mode. Then that's fine. And let's do baking again. So we add dynamic light and we add GI light to fake the light that comes from the dynamic. So it's always add the dynamic light, and then you can add the GI light to make sure that you have the correct bounced light from the dynamic. Okay. What we are trying to do is just fake the light. So in the first session, we use the lumen system, which is automatically, but this is the basics you have to learn.
Here, the spotlight that you added should have shadow or not? Cast shadow or
No. Yeah. Oh, you mean the spotlight? Yeah, the spotlight is fine. If you have one spotlight, you can add the shadow. You remember when we talk about the difference between the point light and
the spotlight, yeah, but the point light that you added now?
No, the point, it doesn't matter if you add the shadow or not. It will not have any shadow because it's baked.
Okay.
Okay, so now it's too much. We have too much light baked, so we can go back to 1, and let's bring the intensity 8. So when you are working in Unreal Engine, for example, this light should put in the what's called in the blueprint to just make sure that you save this light. You can use it anytime. So I will add this light and start to testing. If I got the nice result for the baked light, I can call this moonlight baked, point light baked, and you can create different sizes. It is small or large or medium. Okay, and you can save them. Then you can just drag and drop in your scene and start to use it. Okay. That's why I told you last session, don't try to just use the point light or any type of lighting here by drag and drop. No, just create blueprint to make sure that you have a library, good library for the lighting, that you can use it anytime. And also the other artists, you're gonna use yours. Okay, we still have too much, so maybe 4. I think it should be good. So this processing, you have to keep trying until you get a nice picked light and you feel that's bounce it's enough for this spot. And from here, you can start to take them and put it in the other place to light it, the dark area. So any dark area, don't keep it dark. Just make sure you have at least some fill light. If you remember the fill light that we talked before. And always think about the art. So why I put this spotlight? So to bring the attention or to just fake the moonlight to have more picked light in this area, or to bring light from the window if I have a window. Or maybe it could be we have a cinematic sequence here. It could be there is 2 characters stand here and there is cinematic sequence, which is you really need to add something in background. It's still too bright, but it's not that bad. Okay, so I can keep it like this for now. So if I play the game, you see, it's not that dark. We have a nice light, and you can really feel that comes from the moon. So the light, it's okay. In the end, we're gonna add some fog with the fog exponential fog to bring more foggy effects. Okay, but for now, the dark area is not exist anymore. We have a nice lighting. We have a nice blending between the orange and the blue. You see, we can really see the interior from far away here. So now we fixed the dark area. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is the basic idea for the light baking. But the question now, how I can start to add my light? As I mentioned before, you have to ask yourself where the light has to go. But there is another thing related to the art side. Okay, for the art side, we're gonna take a break 10 minutes because we have something is called shape language. Which is something very important to have to learn first. And we're gonna talk about the shape language from the art and how we can match this in the lighting. So let's go back at 11 in my time zone. So just take 10-minute break, drink water, drink coffee, and back in 10 minutes. And then we'll start talk about the shape language, and then we'll add we'll try to complete the light sitting here to just make sure we cover everything related the light picked and the optimization and the post processing also. Okay.
Thank
Cool.
you, Karim.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was
Yes, yes,
excellent.
yes.
Thanks,
Perfect.
Karim.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's go back in 10 minutes. Okay. So you see my screen, right?
Yes.
Oh, Nimi is not back yet.
I'm here.
Oh, here? Okay, that's perfect. Okay, before we continue, there is a very important topic. It's something, it's related to the shape language. What is the shape language? Shape language, it's about the shape in your scene that you're gonna use in your scene. And this shape, it's gonna telling the story, which has some different shapes like circle or square or triangle. Each shape has own what can I say, has own language. Like for here, if you are using the circle one, that's mean your scene, it could be soft, squeezy, harmless, or if you are using the rectangle or square,
rectangle.
yeah, it could be solid, it could be reflect, it could be inflexible, so it could be strong. And also the triangle has the same thing. So each shape has some specific language
Properties.
and yes, properties and specific language. So each shape of this related to a lot of things about the telling the story and the lighting art. Okay, I will put this PDF, you can read it after, but we are caring now about the light as a shape language. So as I mentioned before, the light has to telling the story. Okay, in the games you could add this, but not that what you expected. But in the movie, you can really telling the story by add the lighting in a specific area, or to say this light has specific color because I need to tell a story about this light. You can put the light as a shape, like what I'm gonna show you here. If we open where this one, yeah, okay, in this art it was just has some basics assets, but the idea here, I'm telling the story from the lighting. As you can see here, the shape of assets here has rectangle light, which is you really need to follow the same shape language as the assets with your light. So in this case, I add a direction light has the same direction as the triangle to just telling the story. It's a big topic. We'll not cover everything right now, but in any art side, you have to think about what is the shape language we are looking for now. In our case here, in our scene, you see it's mixed between the boxes, rectangle, and spheric. Okay, which is you can use the same method in your art. You can add some box lighting. You can use rectangle light, okay, here, or you can even use some point light around. So when you're gonna use this method in your art, you will have more blending, or you're gonna have more harmonies between your light and your art. Okay, it's not mandatory to use it, but always try to think about your art shape here. Is it from the sphere? It's a global shape. It comes from the rectangle or triangle. So depending on this shape, try to match the same shape language in your lighting art. That's why I'm always use here point light, and this usually we're gonna use in our scene. We will use a lot of point light, and we'll try to keep, you see here, still have the spheric feeling. You see, we have spheric feeling. Even if here, this is not triangle, but we have a curve, which is could keep the spheric curve as a shape language. Okay, I don't know if it's not clear or not, but did you understand what I mean?
For me, this was confusing a little bit, but I don't know,
Okay.
maybe the guys
Okay.
understood.
All right.
But
Okay.
I'm honest, so
Okay.
maybe
Okay.
you can explain more, so
Yeah,
I can
I'm
try
gonna
to
explain
understand.
more. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. In art side, we have something called shape language. Okay. Any assets you created in your scene, it should be created from any type of this assets. Okay, you can follow this shape language. The shape language, which is mean from what the shape gonna be created. I'm gonna create my shape from the sphere, or I'm gonna create my shape from triangle shapes, or I'm gonna create my shapes from rectangle shapes. Okay. The first thing as a lighter, I have to look about my scene now and ask myself, what is the shape language they are using in this assets or in this scene. In my point of view, I feel like they are using the spheric. That's the global shape they are using here. We have some specific, we have spheric shapes, we have some curvy. Okay, so in this case, I'm gonna try to use the same shape language in lighting. So I will try to keep my lighting in the spheric shape, or I'm gonna keep my lighting has some curved light.
So we are using the light in the same shape with the assets itself.
Yes,
Like I have like an
I'm
edge.
trying to follow the same shape language in my scene by using the lighting.
Can I
So
add
we have
something?
like
Yes,
So it's like it's really about how the shapes of your environment react to light. So in this example, like we see a very Mediterranean, I would say even like yeah, with the arches. So that's not like a Western, that's more of a like a Mediterranean type of, and those arches and those domes on top of the asset will react differently to different shapes of light.
yes,
So the idea is to get some synergy here. So in this case, in the domes and the arches, you would use light sources or light shapes that are more rounded. And you can have like a completely different scene where you would go into, I don't know, a city in Europe or Germany, or where everything is like box shapes and
box
hard
shapes.
edges and stuff like that. So in that case, you would want to light it in a more, you know, the light shapes or the light sources that you use are very hard edges or square,
Exactly, that's what I mean.
triangle.
Exactly. Exactly. But as I said, this is not mandatory, but some in lighting art, as in cinematic, especially in the cinematic, in game, nobody care about this. But in the cinematic, if you are watch some movie from Pixar, you will really see this. If they are using the global shapes as a box or spheric or arc or any other type of shapes, they try to match the light in the proper shapes. So try to follow the same shape language in the
Yeah, go watch
arts.
a Kubrick movie or, you know, something like that to see
Yeah,
that type of lighting.
exactly. We can keep this in maybe in next session because we have the color harmony session. Not this week. I think it's in week 4. I will try to cover this and make clear vision for this thing maybe next time. But for now, let's go back to the lighting and how we can put the light in the proper, in the correct places. In the beginning, I mentioned that there is some specific place that you have blocked, okay? Which is you can't add any light in this area. Because if I am if I'm playing the game and I have open world, if you put the light there, you will distract the navigation. So I'm gonna go there and it will try to find out what I have to do here. But when I go there, there is nothing. So why you put the light there? So you always have to think about the light as a navigation for the player. So the light comes here, okay, this is the gate. Even if I go to the garden, okay, so what do you think? Which direction you have to follow if I am here? To the right or the left?
I think the left.
The left, because there is more attention here. There is a life there. There is something inside here. Why you didn't go there? Because I didn't put any attention for the lighting. So this is how the lighting works in the games. Okay, so from here, I start my point. Oops.
And this is, by the way, is a proven method. The player is we actually do that without even thinking about it. It's just the way our brain works, that we follow light.
Exactly.
We go towards the light. So it's definitely a proven thing where you actually help navigate the player especially in big worlds where
Yeah.
you can't just tell them you put in an invisible wall. That players hate that.
Yeah.
So you have to rely on lights.
Yes,
100%.
exactly. Yeah, because in the old games, they always block the area by add some blocks. But when I was young and when I played Max Spin, for example, there was some hiding walls. And at this time, I really wish to go there and find out what's here. Okay. So now in open world, we keep everything's open and you can go anywhere. Even in this area is not useful, but you can still go there, but still have navigation. So if you are far for about 5 kilometers, you will still see there is something I have to go there. Like in Tomb Raider, if you play Tomb Raider is a very good game. I really love this game. And Uncharted 2. There is some levels I remember the player was in the on the top of the mountain, and there is something is too far he has to go, but there is a big attention light there. You will find some spotlight on this place, or there is a gates open. You know, something's happened there. So in this case, you have to try to find the place that you have to follow to just arrive to this area. So that's why the lighting is very important in the game side. You have to follow, you have to put the navigation as to the player to follow this light. Because as Nimi said, the brain is always move like this. It's always think about this. I have the light there, so that means there is something it's happening here. I have to follow. So don't add too much light in your scene. Just try to follow the navigation first, and then if you just need to add some few light around the place to add more variation or more life, you can really add this. And that's what we did in Mirage, for example. We have a lot of light assets, but the place that the player has to go, we add big lighting or big attention or more crowd life there. So the
And
same
do you
thing
have
with
like a top view map of the level and like a line where the players are gonna go, and then you can circle this area needs to be this and this area needs to be that. So you have
yeah,
an idea of where you want the player to go,
exactly.
ideally.
Yeah, but in our engine we have something, it's plain, okay, and normally the color is green, so it's gonna be like this.
Shows you the path. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is called navigation. If I press in my engine, so it show me the navigation, which is this area the player gonna go. Even because in Mirage, for example, we have parkour. So sometimes I put the light here, but what's happen if the player gonna jump or gonna roll over? So this navigation, it's really tell me where the player is gonna go. So I can, if this area is green, I can put light there because the player has to jump, and the collision is gonna stop him from the jumping. So the navigation in Unreal Engine or any other engine, it's always handled by the tech side. They always add this
Tool.
navigation in the open world games, not all the games, but in open world games or the games that the player has to go a lot of places, so they add the navigation system. Okay, so now if we go to the garden, let's say this garden has a crowd life. Okay, so the first thing you have to ask yourself, where is the attention between the point A and point B? So now I need the player go from this way, and there's a gate here. I need him to go in. So how I'm gonna distract everything in the scene and I just keep the attention here. So in this area, we're gonna use something is called the value of light intensity. So you can add in your scene a lot of light props, but with the intensity, you can bring the attention. So I can add, let's add one big source light, just this, for example, okay? And let's say I need the player go this way. Okay. From here, I have to add some lantern or any light props that can really see from far away. So that's, I can add lanterns on the top here, which is I could take this. Let's exist assets. And I will put them here.
So you have the freedom to put light props wherever you want. I mean, where the player needs to go, but you can use whatever light prop you want.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But the first thing you have to add it for the navigation, where the player has to go.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
In L1 and L2, there is a tester. We always have a tester for the games. So this tester, they gonna test the game and they gonna test the player. So the first thing the art director asks you to add the light that where the navigation, the player has to go. Okay, to just light the scene and to just to see, okay, this light is visible from this area and this match with the navigation and the storytelling. So we add this first, and after that you can add as much as you can assets in your area. As I said, it could be this area has some crowd life, it could be a market, so I need to add a lot of assets, light props to light the scene here. But the idea first to bring the attention to this area. So if I'm play the games now, and by the way, you see there is a wall up there. I can really make the player go there if I put attention there. I can put the light, and that means there is something I can go there. Okay, but let's just see first what's happening here. So now I am following the light. There is something to do here. So, oh, you see, boom, your mind, it's already find out where it has to go. Why I didn't look at here? Because there is paying attention in this area. So this light, we gonna, after the baked, it's gonna be removed, but I just have light there. So let's find out here. And
so
from here I
talk
can
about intensity, right?
Yes, intensity,
So,
the value. Yeah.
A question about intensity when you're working on it with a team and stuff in a lighting scenario.
Yeah.
Do you have like a number, a limit
Absolutely.
of how much intensity you can go for like different assets?
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like do whatever you want. You have to follow some global guidelines, right? Like
Exactly.
don't go over 0.8 or whatever the number is.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
In our site, for example, we have different, we have default value, which is 5,000. This as a lumen value.
Right.
We can go over than this, but we create different size of lighting. As I mentioned before, we have small, medium, large, and we create a bunch of library first to replace this light in the scene. Okay, it's even if you are using the GI, it's the same method too. We using the big GI, small GI, medium GI, but the value has to be the default. But we have different system and to keep this value as a default, and this value has to relate to the global ambience. Did you remember when I told you in the beginning, don't add any post-processing, don't add any fog, just make your scene like in raw, okay, rendering as a raw, and then you can add whatever you want. And this is the same thing we are using in the games. So if I have the areas that should be more greenish, I don't add green light. No, I keep the light as natural. And then for post-processing, I can change the color or the temperature or the tint color to add more greenish. Okay, so always try to think about the natural color. That's why we always use this in our lighting side. I always use temperature to put the correct value, or just keep the color as a natural. Don't use the
And
color from your mind.
yeah, and also in this case, you would work with blueprints lights. Yeah,
Absolutely,
like
yes.
I don't think there will be a case where you work and you just drag from the place actor like a random light. It will
Mhm.
be a blueprint that is already set with all the
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, the first thing you have to do, it's your blueprint, create your library, and from your library you can use it, because as I said, you are not the only lighters that gonna work on this project. There is a many lighting artists that gonna work with you. So create first library, and each artist has to create library, but it should be some PDF or conference page that you have to follow the rules. So the light should be from 1 to 5, for example, and you have to create the radius for 300 or 1,000. That's max. The shadow, it's mandatory or not. The cookies, how to use cookies. So this thing you have to follow first, and after you finish all the library, from here you can use this library. Sometimes we have to tweak the light, because sometimes we use the light that comes from the other project, like EC Red or any other project, but in this case we have to edit on this light. So in this case you have two options. You can edit on the original if you have access to edit on the original, or you can edit on your instance. So you can drag and drop your light in your scene, and from here you can start to edit. But normally we just keep the masters, or the master light is a default value, and then you can take the instance, and if you just need to tweak some intensity or change the color, you can do this. But the same thing, in the same way, you have to follow the rules that they mentioned before. Okay, so yeah, as I said, now we bring the attention here. Okay, so depend on this value and the intensity of this color, we have to drop down the intensity in the other light props. So which is mean I can't add in the middle, for example, light props or the light intensity that too bright. I'm gonna extract the blur. But you can add this if there is something the player has to go this area. So it could be market here, and I need the player to buy something or to upgrade his weapon, for example. Okay, or he has to steal something. For example, in EC in EC we have some boxes or any other assets which have some specific VFX, which is you have to go there and open it to take some golds or any things that gonna give you more point or more money.
Loot, maybe.
Sorry?
I said loot.
Yes.
Loot? Yeah.
Yeah, loot, yes. But here I can start to add, let's say I need to add some light props here. Okay. I can take the same light. Okay. Move this. I don't care about the Z fighting now. It just example. Okay. And now let's take the GI lights. Is it GI? Oh yeah, that's static light. Okay. We'll add another one here. You see now the value, it looks too bright for me. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this is a maybe 5. And let's do baking. We'll see. So the value for the light props in your world has to have a lower value or low intensity than the main light props that the player has to go. So always the navigation ways has to add more light attention. It doesn't matter to add big intensity. It could add specific light. It could be a specific color, but you have to keep in mind, put in mind that you need at least 70% of the attention you're seeing go to this way. Okay, so whatever you did here, you did in your scene, just make sure the attention is gonna go to this way by using the intensity, by using the light navigation, by using just remove any light assets in the in the rest of the area. So just make sure that you keep the player go to the specific place that you want to go. Okay, and this is your mission in your lighting art. Okay, so if we compare between the light here and light there, it looks okay, but it's still too much and it still has some similar color. So in this, oh, really? Okay, sorry. Okay, so in this case, we can change the color, So if we hide this, okay, let's say this 3000 and we'll add it 2000. 3, and the same thing we're gonna do here, 2000. And we'll try to put the light like this, and we'll do one more baked. After the baked, I'm gonna ask you some specific question. I just want to see if you can really think about the global light and the bounced light. It's related to the bounced. Just wait. By the way, you can take this light and start to add in different places. You see something similar in EC, just to add some attention, but this outdoor, so we can't add this light here because there is nothing has to cast the light. You have to think about the light for the casting. Okay, so now the light, it's okay, it looks okay for me. I still have big intensity here and I have light props here. Okay, I have some shadow issue here, but this because the map resolution. Okay, but if we have two light there, what do you think? What is missing here? Think about the bounced light.
Maybe spotlight to add bounce light, or
Where?
on the element. I don't know how it's called on English. Behind.
Behind?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
somewhere, or also
Okay.
on the stairs, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
More. Yeah, that is
Okay.
that is where I will put maybe, but I
Okay.
don't know.
But what is different if I add the spotlight here? Just let me add one there. So what do you think now? You see what's happened now? We try to make some separate between the elements. These two elements is too close, and there is nothing can really see the difference between this element and the background. But by adding spotlights, we put bounced light related to the reflection and related to the light itself. So this ceiling, the texture artists spend a lot of time to add some nice reflection. So if you don't give him this feeling, he will really feel bad. Because just imagine he spent 2 days, 3 days to create textures, to add some nice reflection. But with your light, you didn't add any light reflection to this assets. So now you missed some what's called some key elements in your light. So there's a new thing you have to learn here. The light has to relate to the global shapes overall, like the textures, like the materials, like the ambience itself. So if we have this element has a reflection, try to make the reflection visible. Why you keep like this? So now it looks really bad. So really bad. But by adding some light props, you bring more life. You make his texture feel breath, you know. The texture artist, if he look at this, he say, wow, that's really awesome. So yeah, I can really see now my my assets and my textures. It looks very visible. Especially when they work in ArtPlast. ArtPlast, it's something before the game launch. So everyone working in the project, so they took some screenshots from their work and they put in ArtStation. So the texture artist, if he doesn't has any something beauty to add it, he will really feel bad in the games, because it's not enough for him to just put the textures from the substance painter or designer. He really need to see the textures result in the game engine. So whenever you add the light props, always think about the materials around you. If you have something metallic, try to make the metallic visible, shiny. If there is something has roughness and dirt, try to make this dirt visible. Okay, especially if you are working in the cinematic. The cinematic, maybe after the launch game, I'm gonna show you this in my lighting work. The skin, we have very high details, but with the direction lights, it's really not visible. Do you remember in the first 2 sessions we talk about don't put the light in the front of the face or the front of your model or your scene, because you're gonna miss a lot of details. So if you are working in the cinematic mode and you have characters, you always try to think about how I'm gonna make the details visible, like the skin details or anything related to the skins. If the skins has the reflection on the eye or on the skin itself, you have to make this visible by your lighting, because it will never be appear before you add the light. With the light here, I can start to make this visible or not. Okay, let's see. Oh, you see now, if I change the source radius, I can make the reflection more visible or more soft.
And this you can also bake, right?
This will not baked. This is dynamic.
This is, yeah.
Yeah, this is dynamic.
So the bounce, yeah.
Yeah. The bounced light, it's gonna be in baked, but the reflection not baked. Okay. You see, because we picked already here, but there is nothing to be visible. But as I said, in the spotlight, you can use the spotlight. You can use the spotlight to just bring more attention. And if you just add the spotlight for...
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Should we add point spotlight or use the point light? And can we only use the point light and change the radius? So we
Depend
can...
on your how many light source you have, because now we are using the dynamic light, not static.
Okay, yes.
So
Okay,
the spotlight,
clear.
I can add 5 spotlight in the same area because the spotlights go in only one direction, but the point light, the direction is 360. So you can't add too much light there.
Yeah, we need to be careful how many lights we have.
Exactly, exactly. So that's why the spotlight is the best way.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a very good way to use. So this is another tip you have to follow in your light design. You see, even here, I have this very nice decoration, but it looks bad because there is no light. So I can add one light props here, or even I can add moonlight. I can add moonlight to bring more light here. So let's say I have this one.
So out of curiosity, let's say we take this scene of this yard, this court. How many lights, roughly, number, would you have in a scene like this?
In the scene?
Yeah.
If you don't have
this scene.
Yeah. There is no limited light. If you don't have too much overlapping, there is no limitation. The idea for the overlapping start to count more in the performance. But if you don't have any overlapping, you can add 100 light here. It's up to you. It's up to you. But listen, the first thing you have to care about, it's the GI light. Add the GI light first, and then you can fix the GI bounce it by using the dynamic. Okay, so we add the GI and make sure the scene it's really lit. And if you need to add dynamic light, you can add it. But the idea, the GI should take 70% of your scene, and then the dynamic light just to add more interact with the player or the any other assets in your scene.
And do you work a lot with the light complexity visual? Like
yeah,
you constantly check
your
scene?
Absolutely. I have to check every time. I have to make sure, because listen, if you are working in the game in Unreal Engine, before you start, the tech art is gonna come to you. Hey, listen, we can't go to the red zone or the orange zone. You have to always keep in mind you are in the green or blue zone. So which is you have every time to check the light complex to make sure that you don't have any orange area, because you have to follow the rules from the art direction. Because he know the optimization, he know more about the consoles that gonna gain launch on this console. So you always have to follow this, because for example, they might add more details in the textures or the assets to add more details, which is gonna take more in performance. So he sometimes he said the light is not mandatory for me. I just need to light to be lit. But the important thing for me to make sure that I have as much as details in my games for the assets. So it's all depend about the art direction and the game itself. So, but as your lighter, try to make sure that you don't have too much overlapping.
Sorry, Karim. So now you have orange here, like going through. So what will you do now in this situation?
Okay.
So
sure. So let's remove this one here. We have to repick because there is no overlapping.
Rebake. Okay, yeah, because of the baking. That's why maybe.
Yes. After the bake, there will not have any light complex or overlapping anymore. And as I said, for light overlapping, that's fine in most of the games. Okay.
Yes.
But red zone, which is really bad. The drop frame, it's gonna be very low.
Thank you for this session. This was like really,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you. I was so excited to show you this. I wish
Yeah.
to
This
make
is
it
something new
yesterday.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is like mind-blowing because I didn't know all of those things,
Yes,
you
I
know.
know.
So now I understand.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
understand more.
I
So
know you
thank you.
was very confused last session, but yeah,
Yes,
as I
for
said,
me
we
it
try to
was.
take it step by step.
Yes.
And in the practice, you will solve all of this problem. There is a lot of
Yes.
thing in baking side you have to learn, but for now, that's very simple. Okay. You see now, we don't have that much light complex, but because I have spotlight, you can reduce, boom, you see, and from here also.
Yeah, clear. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean now. Yes.
Yeah. Or you can even move your light like this. I still have this nice reflection. And that's it. That's all you need. Okay. So from here, you can start to add your lighting. So the player has to go this area. Okay, so after he go this area, what I have to do in the interior? Okay, so there is many things you have to think about. Do I have to add the light comes from the window? Do I have to add the light comes from the top? Maybe I just add the light on the bottom here from the light props and add some spotlights. For example, I have this column here. We'll remove this and just rebuild because I don't need any build. And by the way, after you finish, you can go to the post-processing and you can change your exposure. I can add more exposure if I want my light to be more lit or more visible, or I can make it more darker. That's why I am telling you in the beginning, just keep your value as a default value to make sure that your light is default as a raw, and then you can change your post-processing as you wish. So I can go now here and say that I need more contrast or make the gamma. You see now, boom, I change my color mode. Or I can work on we will cover all of this maybe next session. Let's keep this in. Okay, so now I have this dark. If you have the dark area and you can't really see anything, I would prefer to move your scene to the unlit to just see what's going on here. So I have this column. So I can add light props. And from light props, I'm really love to add this spotlight, especially in the columns, near to the columns, you see? So I'm trying to add more light from the top to just make the assets more visible and has more the reflection and everything to be visible. So I can keep this and we could take these assets. You can put that here. And from here, let's try to paint the lights. But also, as I mentioned, it depends about the story. It could be this place has sequence, animation sequence. In animation sequence, you have to think about where the player it's gonna be acts. So it could be front of these columns. So which is you need to change or remove your light to make some cinematic lighting. Okay, or it could be front of this window. So that's mean I can add God rays from this window to have more foggy light in behind. So it's all about the story, okay? Because in the animation sequence, this is something also it's very important for you when you work in the. Okay, yes, Joanne, I'm okay. Go ahead.
Like, what makes light be cinematic in an environment? What's the difference?
In the games or the cinematic overall?
I mean, in, let's say you have a cutscene in a game,
Yes,
and you
in the game.
have, and your task is
Yeah.
make cinematic lighting in the environment.
Yes. So, okay, in the cinematic, you have to add three things. That something is called 3 point of light. That's what we mentioned before. The key light and the fill light and the rim light. In any area has a cinematic, you always has to think about the key light and the rim light first. So that's mean you have to add specific light in this area. And this light will never be changed. If you put in this place, you will never be changed because the cinematic artists in the most of the game company, they have cinematic artists and also they have director. This director has more vision and more experience in cinematic side. So he gonna say, I need the background to be foggy and I need the light direction. The key light comes from the left to make the triangle shapes, for example, okay? Or I need the light to comes from the bottom to make this character has strong or be anger. So to add this light, it's related to the sequence and the director also. The director, he decided where the light is gonna be put in this place. Okay, so as your lighter, you put your light everywhere, but in the cinematic, it's related to the director. Director, he decided where you have to add. But if you have an experience in cinematic lighting, you can discuss with him. You can say, okay, what do you think if we rotate the character to this side? I think we have better visual here. It's like in real life. It's like in real life. You select the environment that you want to shoot and then add your light in this area. Okay. In the most of games, we add the cinematic lights in the sequence itself, not in world. Okay, because in the cinematic we need to add more light, more shadow. That's mean gonna take the performance. But why I keep this light in the world if I didn't use it? I just need this light to be turned on during the sequence, and after the sequence finish, it's over. It's gonna be hide again. So in the cinematic, I'm gonna show you this after. We always put the light in the sequence itself. After the sequence finish, the light will not be exist in world. So in world, we keep the global ambience, but in the same times, if we have this environment and the sequence is gonna start, and then when we stop the sequence, the player has to go outside again, try to keep the light to serve on your sequence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just keep some spotlights or props lights to just serve on my sequence. And the same in the meantime, I will keep it in the world. I just need to keep it in the world. And after that, I can add the cinematic light inside the sequence to fake the lights. I need the light comes from this candle, for example, or this fire camp. So I'm gonna add this light in the sequence. But after the sequence ends, this light's gonna be disappear and we'll just keep the global lights.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
When you mean sequence, I don't know if everybody is aware, but Unreal has an animation tool set where you can actually create a cinematic.
Yeah.
And you know, what Karim's saying is that these two are separated. So when he means game, it's whenever the player is walking around in the world, and the cinematics, it's like its own thing where it gets triggered. And when we talk about cinematics, it's the approach is differently because the camera is already, you know, what the player, what we are looking at, so they can light it like you would do in cinema, right? Like you have a shot, you have a composition, you light it the way you want it. But a sequencer in Unreal, the sequencer, it's its own thing, right? It gets, you know, it gets rendered, and it's really not in the game world per se. It's
Yeah.
just its own thing.
That's true. But in other engine, for example, like in our engine at Ubisoft, we have the sequence that can start and end the sequence in the game itself. So you can use the sequence, but in the meantime, the sequence is separate. Is not software, but it's a separate tool in the engine. So basically, we have something called here. It's add level sequence. Okay, just to give you a global visual here. So you see, we have a sequence here that we can add the camera. If I have a camera in place, I can add now the camera. Let's say I'm having, oh, not camera actor. I have cinema actor, okay? From the track, I will search for the camera that I just created, and I have the camera, okay? Whatever I am gonna do here, so I just need to move the camera from here to there. Just press on the transform here. If I go back, boom, I have the cinematic. Okay, so that's the level sequence. We're gonna talk about this, but after. But in the cinematic mode, everything you add the light, it's related to this sequence. In the cinematic shots, you can add the shadow. You can add the numbers of lights. So you can add 5, 6, 7 in place. That's fine, because as I said, this sequence is gonna be cinematic, just gonna play, and once you stop, it's gonna be invisible. Okay, but we don't care about the cinematic right now.
So you're going to render it, right? After you finish adding the lights, it's going to be rendered. That's how it works.
In all the game, yes, but with a new game, not. It's a play as a real time. So you go somewhere and press Y to speak with someone inside the king inside. So when you press play, it's gonna switch your game from the game mode to the cinematic mode. But after you stop, you will go back to the game mode. But there is no rendering. But in all the game, yes, was rendering.
Yes.
But all the new games now, there is no. It's all real time. When you press the play, you interact. When you stop the cinematic, you can move or go anywhere else, or you can go back and start to speak with the king, or to ask him additional information, to give you an additional information. So that's why I said the sequence. But in Unreal Engine, I don't think that we have this option that if you stop the game, you can go to the game mode, or if you play the cinematic, you can move to the sequence. I'm not sure, but in the, as I said, Ubisoft or many companies has this this option. You can interact as a real time in the games. Okay, so that's very much. Before we finish, as I said, after you finish all the light, make sure the light complex, it's correct. You don't have any light overlapping. Also, you can check the frame rate, show FPS here. Okay, and be careful when you are in the previous in the preview mode. You can really see the high frame rate, because the frame rate depends on your full resolution. So make sure press F11 to have a full resolution. And from here, you can really see your frame rate. You see now the frame rate, it's 100, which is really, really fast. This game now, it could be works in the very low computer performance. It could be working in any computer because we have 100 FPS. But most of the games should be run in 60 FPS or 30 FPS. So now we drop the frame to 30 because we have PS5 and Xbox Series or even in PC. But between 60 and 30, most of the games, they ask you to keep your FPS in 60 FPS to be in save. So if we add more dynamic, let's just see if we add more dynamic light here. Okay. You see the drop frame start to go down. If we come, let's try to play the game. You
Yeah,
see?
this is without particles and
Yeah, without a
other
particle, without
characters.
fog,
Yeah.
without character. Yes, exactly. So, but everything you add in the games, it's gonna affect on your frame rate. After you add the particles, you add the fog, you add the characters here. Each character is gonna take from some frame rates from the performance. So that's why I always say keep your lights, optimize it to make sure your FPS is still stable. When you receive the scene in the games, you will never find the FPS 100. Never, never. Normally, it's gonna be between 70, 75. That's gonna be the max, or it could be lower than this. Could be 65, and it's gonna ask you. You have to keep your FPS in 60, and this is the big challenge. But now you know the trick. Just use more radius for the dynamic lights, and use the dynamic lights if needed. Try to use the big light first, and then if you really need to have some dynamic light, like the candle has flickering, or the player gonna comes close to this light, in this case you can add dynamic. For example, here this light, it's in top, so the player will never come close to this light props, or it doesn't matter to see the shadow. So you can keep the light like this. Don't add dynamic. Try to think more smarter and think about the performance of the game. In the end, if you feel your game still has some space to add dynamic light, you can put some dynamic light around. Okay. If you get any issue for the baking, if you remember what we mentioned last time, you have to make sure that you go to the Lightmass setting and start to tweak this setting. This is the number of dynamic bounced. That's how many bounced this light gonna be bounced. Or skylight also. Indirect light quality. If you make this higher, like in 10, that's good quality. Okay, but the time baking, it's gonna be more longer. And the static, don't go more than 0.5, 0.7, because it's gonna make your baked has more time. But in this scene, that's okay. I don't do any change here. You can work on this one. You can copy your content and make sure remove all the light, remove the fog, remove the light, remove any light source, and you can create a new level and paste it there and start to add the post-processing. Make sure you put the exposure manual, turn on the baked system, the global illumination system, not lumen system, and start to use the baked techniques to just make some nice shots. And as I said, follow the direction, add some fake lights on the top to fake the moon. Any darker area, try to add light there to make it more has more indirect light. Make the navigation go through this this light, and in the end, try to bring more concept. You can find some concept from ArtStation to see if we have place like this palace or maybe Aladdin movie. You can find some from this movie, I think. You can get some idea to just see the color, the mood, the lights. You can create your own light props. If you are environment artist, you can create some candles and replace it in place. You can add some characters if you have. I have this what's called this Grand Bazaar. It's very good asset, but it's 11 gig. So I'm trying to find a way to upload this project and send it to you, but it has too much thing like characters, which is really nice. We're gonna use this character in the cinematic. You see? Oh, let's remove this and add this one. For example, if you have the cinematic here, in this case, as I said, you start to add the lights, but this light, do you remember when we talk about the channel? This light has to add a specific channel. So go to the channel, and let's say I need this light only effect on this character. So now the light only works in this character. So which is you can add dynamic light in your place, and this will never affect on your performance by using the light channel. To just fake the light comes from the lanterns or any other light props here. So now I create some nice lighting. In the back, do you remember the 3 key of lights that we took before? Let's say this one is gonna be more blue. So you see now the difference. I add some nice rim lights in the back. So just few spotlight can make difference. Okay, boom. If I hide this and with this 2 light source, I create my cinematic light. From here, I can use the camera and change the lens. So I have some nice cinematic. It's just so quick, but you can start to add some. Oh, anyway, okay. So you can start to add some cinematic shots in your scene, and this is the idea. So in cinematic, we use the specific channel to just assign this light for the cinematic sequence. That's very much for the baking. So we cover all the baking techniques. We cover how to add the light around and how to blend between the dynamic and the bake light and to add the visual. And don't forget the basics. Add the global visual, the global ambience, which is the sky, and then add the direction light and set up the direction light in the proper position, and then add your small dynamic light, and then add the big light to make your lights lit. And then from post-processing, you can tweak your setting. So that's very much. If you have any questions,
One
just let
last
me know.
question
Yeah.
from me. Do you use HDRs in games or only skylights from the engine?
Both of them. You can use
Both of
HDRI,
them.
backdrop. You can use the dynamic scale system. or
Okay,
you
so it's
can
allowed to use
skylight.
HDR. I mean, I don't know, because of performance, something. I don't know, just asking, but it's
No,
allowed.
that's okay. The skylight and the HDR light, it doesn't take that much for the performance.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, that's it. You have
I
any
need to
other
ask
question?
something, Karim.
Yeah.
If I'm looking to have like a specific light mode, like Bloody Moon, for example,
Yeah.
I can do that like from the HDRI, or you're doing that in Skylight. Let's say that I want a Bloody Moon, light mode in a game. How we
Yes.
can do something like that?
From the skylight. Try to check the previous session, because we talk about the global ambience. The global ambience, it's very important. The first thing we put in the scene, the global ambience. So you can add HDR, or you can add skylight, and then you can change the color to get your mood that you are looking for. And this is the first step. The global ambience, then you can add the top layers, like the direction light, like the light around, the fake lights. But the global ambience is the first step you have to follow.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
Okay. But if you check the previous sessions, you will find it. You will find all of this information.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay. Anytime. Any other question? Okay. So
Wait, I had one quick one
Sure.
regarding the baking. So the indirect quality. Does that just make the light maps bigger in resolution, or so if I increase the baking quality from 1 to 10, like you did before,
Yes.
which will take more time to bake,
Yes.
but what does it change the size of the light maps?
No, the light maps only could be changed from here. There is something called light maps resolution, light mass. Let's find resolution, maybe. Yeah, see here, target light mass resolution, not that one. I just need to find the texture first. Okay, so I have the textures here. And from the texture, you see baked light.
124, yeah,
Yes.
1K.
So you can change the light map resolution, but it's effect on the details that's gonna add it on this texture.
Yeah.
All of this setting is gonna affect on the result in the end that's gonna add on this texture.
So for the indirect quality, why wouldn't I just always put a high number there?
Actually, I don't remember, but there is a PDF. I'm gonna send it to you. It's explain everything from Epic. You see, if we put here, you see, setting is higher than 1 will guarantee increase build times.
time.
You see,
Yeah.
so if you just put your mouse on any setting here, it's gonna give you why you have to use this and what you have to care about. Okay, because it's a long time ago since I used the baked light in Unreal Engine, so I'm really forget. But here it's really show you why and what's the purpose to use this. And there is video I'm gonna send in the PowerPoint. I'm gonna create a PowerPoint and I will send it to you today. It's gonna show you the best setting for the baked in the interior and the exterior also. There is some default settings that you can use it to get less time for the baking and with the high details
Quality,
and high quality.
Okay, thanks.
Well, anytime. Thank you. So yeah, that's it. I wish you like this session. I know we had many technical side in the baking, but I think it was clear for everyone to just understand what's going on in the game side. Tomorrow we'll talk about the fog and the post-processing system, and we'll talk about the global. So how we can use the exponential fog and what's the setting we have to tweak it in the games to keep it as a default. Post-processing also, and we'll see the plan that I sent it last week. We'll try to follow the same plan We'll have two hours tomorrow, so we have enough time to learn a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's it. Thank you, and see you tomorrow. And
Thank
try
you.
to enjoy the rest of the day, and have a good weekend. And see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Karim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
was
very
Great
really good.
lesson.
Thank
Really,
you.
really great.
Thank,
See you guys.
thank you. I'm really happy
you.
to hear this, guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
Karim.
Thank you. Bye. See you.
Bye bye.
Bye.